College football analyst Brock Howard said that Washington State University quarterback Cameron Ward, quote, has 10 seven-figure deals waiting for him if he hits the transfer portal. Man, what a time to be alive. So let's talk Ward, NIL deals, and the portal with former Washington State standout quarterback and radio analyst Alex Brink. Brink, my man, what's going on? Thanks for hopping on with us, man.
What's up, Brandon? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for having me.
All right, a lot of news coming out of the Pacific Northwest. So let's start with what Brock said about Cam Ward and these NIL deals. That's a lot of money. So what have you heard? And do you think that Ward actually does hit the portal?
You know, I mean, I think it's all on the table, man. NIL has changed the game at the collegiate level. And I think if Cam Ward has multiple seven-figure deals, then why wouldn't you leave? You know what I mean? I think that's just the reality of it. As hard as it is to say for a Washington State alum and former quarterback, I'm the radio analyst for the team. Look, if Cam Ward's earned that money and he gets it from somebody, he should go. I think the hard part is it sounds like some of it could be coming from some in-league rivals potentially, right? I mean, that's where some of these deals people are saying are coming from. And if that's the case, man, I tell you what, college football is in quite the place.
Well, that's kind of leads into this next question, because on Monday, Cougs head coach Jake Dickert said that other schools have made attempts to poach Washington State University players as well. I mean, we all know there's some sort of tampering going on behind the scenes with a lot of these schools before the portal officially opens on December 4th. So what are your thoughts on the portal and all this tampering that's going on?
I think in general, the portal itself is a good thing. I think power for the players, I think financial compensation for players overall is a good thing. I think the current system's broken. I mean, that's the reality of it. I do like that players have the opportunity to leave, in the sense that if a head coach leaves or somebody recruiting them leaves, they have that opportunity to leave. But right, it's free reign. I mean, this is not NFL free agency, right? There's not a structure to it. There's not guidelines, and there's not penalties if you break rules, frankly, because there are no rules. And that's really where the issues are coming in, and what you're talking about, where there's tampering of players within programs that, a program like Washington State or even Oregon State, right, with Jonathan Smith leaving and going to Michigan State, these programs are hurting and are trying to find ways to retain players. And teams are taking advantage of it. Yeah. And I think that's really unfortunate. And it says a lot about, honestly, where college football is at and probably where it's headed.
Yeah, it's headed down a slippery slope, man, and NCAA needs to do something about that. Let's have ourselves a back in our day moment. Back when you were QB1 at Washington State, my man Brink, you would have made some good coin from some NIL deals. So now with that said, now you're in media, and you see how it's pretty much the Wild Wild West trying to govern what's going on. What are your thoughts about coaches in these universities using NIL deals to recruit these kids? And do you think that the NCAA should step in and kind of lay its hammer down a little bit more?
Look, I think, again, like I said before, in the end, big picture, athletes getting paid is a good thing, right? I mean, there are coaches that make $10 million a year. Yeah. Nick Saban gets $1 million put in his bank account every month, right? Yeah. When you compare that to then a quarterback or an athlete for a school that is getting, that's bringing in attention and dollars, I think, again, these athletes deserve something, but there needs to be guidelines. And that's where I think the NCAA or some other governing body, frankly, probably needs to step in. And the easiest way to do that is just say, hey, look, you can't get NIL dollars till you've been on the roster of a team for a year, because then you can't use it for recruiting incentives, right? And I think that would be the best way to do it, because at least the simplest way short term, because I do think that it's a problem currently. I think there's no rules. I think the tampering, the recruiting incentives, are creating a real problem. And the flip side of that is that lots of times the dollars these athletes are being promised, because there's no guidelines to it and no oversight, the dollars aren't showing up, right? Because people aren't writing the checks when they say they're supposed to be writing the checks. And I think those sort of things are a real black eye on college football right now, and hopefully it gets cleaned up, and there's some more structure and guidelines around it.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the NFL and the NFLPA kind of made that deal to limit the amount of dollars for first-year contracts for rookies in the NFL. Like
Right.
we want these players to get their bag, but we just don't want it to hurt the game and essentially hurt the players and their futures going forward. Alex Brink, my
Right.
man, lay like a play cousin, man. Thanks for hopping on with me.
I appreciate you, man.